What's up guys, and welcome back to the Shomer Show. So I got a question that said, what's better, Glock or a 1911? And just to compare them in a guitar fashion, this is the 1911. This is the Glock 19. AR-15. This is the Alright guys, so basically this video is going to be me kind of comparing and contrasting the Glock 19 and the 1911. Now, there's not going to be any shooting in this video. This is more going to be like my opinion of these guns and what applications they would be best for, just in my opinion. And for those who don't know, no, I'm not a gun expert. I'm just a guy who likes guns. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring that camera down and we'll talk about these guns and show them off a little bit. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is aesthetics of the gun. You know, everyone's got their own opinions on that thing. So my thinking is you guys have to come, you know, to your own conclusions on that. But in my opinion, I'm definitely going to give that to the 1911. I mean, to me, it's just a prettier gun. It's just a cooler looking gun to me. Now, the next thing I want to cover is just the capacity. Most 1911s usually have around 8 round magazines or so. So you're looking at around 9 rounds in your 1911, whereas your Glock 19, you can hold, what, 16 rounds total, including one in the chamber. So there's also a difference in caliber. You've got 45 caliber versus the 9mm, which we can all go through that, but I think either round is just fine. Another thing you may consider is the size of the gun. Now, size of the gun can assist with shootability, but then you're looking at concealability. So 1911 is really hard to conceal. I mean, these guns are just big. They're just not small guns. Whereas the Glock 19 is fairly small, but yet it feels like a pretty good sized gun, but it's a lot easier to conceal. Now for me, and this isn't a huge thing, but for like newer shooters, I think a Glock 19 is going to be far easier to use. If you're new to shooting pistols, putting a magazine in here, racking this thing, and being ready to rock is fairly simple. It's got internal safeties, no external safeties. You just pull the trigger and go. Now it's a little bit different with the 1911, just for a couple reasons. You do have the hammer, and then you've got the external thumb safety, which to me, for concealed carry purposes, I wouldn't use that. I would go with something that does not have an external safety. But with the hammer being added, you know, some new shooters might think, oh, that's just kind of a weird thing to, you can decock them and half cock them and all this stuff if you want. So it's just something that's a little added extra. Now it does have, of course, the grip safety. So some people dislike that and some people don't. I'm not a huge fan of it, but for a 1911 that I just shoot for mainly for fun, I'm fine with it. Now, of course, Glock 19 again has nothing like that. Besides on the trigger. You know, trigger's just a trigger. You can't pull unless you have this little tab right here pulled down. So there's a difference in the trigger. Now, I'm not going to get into the different pounds of each trigger, but like most people know, 1911s just have a crisper, nice trigger, just a hair trigger. It's real nice. I mean, that's, you know, when you go to the trigger, you're going to go towards your 1911. Both of them are fairly easily modified. There's nothing too difficult about it. I would say the Glock 19 is probably easier. It's probably, I haven't looked into it, but I imagine it'd be a little less expensive. Now, shootability, I think, is going to go to the 1911. Not that the Glock is hard to shoot. It's just, to me, having a bigger gun, more like a full-sized gun, is easier to shoot than something that's a little bit smaller. just because, and again, the recoil on each of these guns isn't bad at all. They're probably comparable just because of the weight and the caliber size. Of course, different guns come with different sights. You can see the sights on this guy. I mean, just a 3-dot system. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I mean, that's something to consider. But this 1911 is just kind of your basic sight system. I don't like pointing barrel at things, but so that's the there. And then of course the Glock. I actually like Glock sights. I think they do the job. Now another thing I'd like to talk about is ease of field stripping and cleaning. Hands down is going to go to the Glock. So much easier to take apart and clean. The 1911 is a little bit, in both of these, you know, I mean I've got two here, and they are both, they're not difficult to take apart and clean, but they are way more difficult than the Glock is. You have to kind of put the barrel and slide the slide on a certain way just right, and it sometimes can be a little bit it's like temperamental, I guess. It's just hard to get it just right sometimes. Now I haven't experienced this, but I'm not like a, you know, I'm gonna go throw my guns in the dirt and shoot them type of guy, but a lot of people say that, you know, the Glock 19 is far more reliable than the 1911. And I could see why. I mean, when you take it apart and see the different moving parts, you know, when you look at the way the Glock is built and engineered compared to the 1911, you can kind of see that, you know, this one has a little, almost a little tighter. So to me, if the tighter the gun is, it can really has more of a chance of debris getting in there and locking up a gun. I'm not a gun expert, but I'm just kind of going off of, I don't know, common sense. Now, one thing I do like is that if you want to pop some sights on the Glock 19, you can pop sights in and all that stuff. You can pop a light source on the front of these. You know, neither of these guns have an ability for you know, to easily mount a light source on, so that's something to consider too. And price point, Glock 19 is usually around $4.99. You know, usually you get 2 magazines, a case, and a gun. You know, this 1911 was, and this is a Island Armory 1911. I think it was like $3.99 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. It was like right at $400, but you know, these are cheaper 1911s, are cheap 1911s, and they function fine. And I think this American Classic was, I don't know, around 500 bucks. And so, you know, it kind of goes back to what you're going to use this gun for. If you were going to conceal carry a gun or open carry a gun, or however you're going to carry a gun, I would go with the Glock 19. I mean, it's because it's the Glock 19. I mean, it's got a heck of reliability, much easier to use. You just point and shoot. And then with your 1911s, you know, you hear all the horror stories of them getting locked up, not functioning. And two, you know, you've got that extra step with that safety. So to me, for, you know, carry option, definitely go with Glock 19. Now, if you're at home and you're just wanting to have fun shooting around, I would much rather shoot a 1911. I love the Glock, but I would much rather shoot a 1911. It's just fun to shoot for some reason. I just like the way it feels in my hand. Just, oh, they're so huge. Ah. Price point, I would probably put the Glock would win that. You know, ability to customize, the Glock is probably going to win that. A few different reasons why. Price point of the customization and the availability. Accuracy, both guns are fine. Really. Ease of use, going to go to the Glock 19. Now for the cool factor, that's where it goes to the 1911. If you just don't think a 1911 is cool, I mean, I don't get it. I mean, I'm not a Glock fanboy or a 1911 fanboy or whatever, or a 45, but God, man, I just feel cool. I just feel cool holding two. It's even better. Ugh. Well, so hopefully, you know, maybe one day Glock will just make a Glock 1911 team, and then we're you know, the world will be fixed. So that'd be awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always.